The silver wings drifted through white clouds like a quiet promise. Below them, the ocean stretched forever, deep, calm, and unknown. Somewhere beyond that horizon, a new life was waiting for her. Emma rested her forehead against the cool glass. She wasn't just watching the clouds. She was watching the distance between who she was and who she hoped to become. Then, through the morning light, land appeared. Golden shores touched turquoise water, and the world suddenly felt warmer. For the first time, the future had a place. The airport was louder than she imagined. Voices, footsteps, rolling suitcases. Everything moved with purpose. Everyone seemed to know where they belonged, except her. She stepped outside. Warm air brushed against her face, carrying the scent of salt and sunlight. Emma closed her eyes and breathed in slowly. For the first time since leaving home, she felt she might be okay. A taxi waited quietly by the curb, as if it had been expecting her. Emma placed her suitcase inside and paused for a moment. The journey had begun for real now. The city unfolded slowly outside the window. Streets, trees, strangers, sunlight. Everything felt unfamiliar, yet strangely gentle. Glass towers rose into the blue sky. For a moment she wondered how someone so small could find a place in something so big. In her hands, the paper map trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the fragile excitement of finally being here. The taxi slowed beside a quiet street lined with roses. She stepped out, holding the small brass key in her palm. This door would be the first place she called her own. Sunlight filled the empty apartment, and dust drifted slowly through the air. The silence felt unfamiliar, but not unfriendly. Emma looked around and smiled softly to herself. No one else heard it, but her adventure had finally begun. She pushed open the old window and let the fresh air in. The world outside no longer felt distant. It felt close. A small bird landed beside her, bright and fearless. Emma laughed quietly, surprised by the sudden company. Below, life moved gently along its own rhythm. Children playing, neighbors talking, dogs wandering through the grass. Watching them, she realized she was no longer just visiting. In the distance, the university tower rose above the rooftops. It felt less like a building and more like a future she had yet to understand. Across the city, another day unfolded just as quietly for someone she had never met. His life moved in steady patterns, notes, pages, schedules. Everything had a place, and every day followed the last. Two lives moved forward at the same time, separated only by distance and chance. Neither knew the other already existed in their story. As the sun lowered, the river carried the last light of the day across the city they now shared. Emma hung her dresses one by one inside the small wardrobe. Each familiar fabric carried a memory from somewhere far away. On the desk, a small photograph waited patiently. Home had traveled farther than she had realized. She touched the frame gently and exhaled. The distance between countries suddenly felt much larger at night. Night settled over the city like a quiet blanket. The lights outside flickered softly, unfamiliar but peaceful. Lying in the dark, Emma closed her eyes. Tomorrow would bring strangers, streets, and new beginnings. She hoped she was ready. Golden light slowly crept across her pillow. Morning had arrived quietly, as if the city did not want to wake her too quickly. A strange bird call echoed outside. Emma opened her eyes, confused for a moment, then remembered where she was. Outside, the streets were already alive. The world was moving forward, whether she was ready or not. She made herself a cup of tea and watched the steam rise slowly into the air. For a moment, the world felt simple again. Carefully, she buttoned her dress. Today would be her first real step into this new life. Today was her first day of university. Emma paused before the mirror, steadying her breath as if preparing to meet a different version of herself. Across the city, someone else was beginning their day just as carefully. James checked the time. He liked knowing exactly where the day was going. Emma stepped onto the rattling tram, holding the rail a little tighter than she needed to. Outside the window, the city drifted past in soft green blurs. Each passing street carried her closer to a life she still couldn't imagine. The campus rose before her like a stone forest. For a moment, Emma wondered if she truly belonged in a place this grand. Inside the halls, James walked with quiet confidence. This place already felt like part of his routine. Emma studied her map again and again. Every corridor looked the same, and every step felt uncertain. A path lined with fallen blossoms caught her attention. She followed it, hoping it would lead somewhere certain. On the other side of a quiet wall, another student searched for the same room. Neither of them knew how close they were. The quiet scent of old paper filled the library. James reached for a book he had read many times before. At that very moment, Emma reached for the same shelf. Their hands paused only inches apart. Then the bell rang. The spell broke, and the moment slipped away before either of them noticed. Afternoon light painted the campus in copper and gold. The day moved forward whether they were ready or not. By the lake, Emma sat quietly and began to write home. Some feelings were easier to place on paper than to carry alone. "The air here feels different," she wrote carefully. "I think it might be a beginning." Someone walked past unnoticed. Sometimes important moments begin quietly. When she finally looked up, the day was already ending. She wondered how many beginnings a single place could hold. As evening arrived, the city lit itself gently, one light at a time. It no longer felt unfamiliar, only new. Somewhere nearby, two paths moved closer without knowing it. Tomorrow would introduce them.